Welcome to 10 for 10, a series of interviews with personalities and dedicated leaders across the Major Arena Soccer League, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary. I'm your host, Eric Bergreed. For this week's episode, I'm joined by John Greene, Manager of Community Engagement, Communications, and Creative Services for the San Diego Sockers. Welcome to 10 for 10, John.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor.
Well, thank you. So, Manager, Community Engagement, Communications, and Creative Services is a pretty hefty job title. Can you explain for our viewers what your responsibilities entail?
Well, like everybody else at our office, we all have hefty titles, but we love what we do. And being in charge of the community, I have community outreach so that we can go out into schools, into soccer clubs, and do that, work with nonprofits. For communications, I work with the media, so I handle the media relations. I work with Craig Elston, our play-by-play broadcaster. He writes it, and I make it look pretty and get it out to the media. And then I also do the website. I do graphic design, so I can do the graphics for our apparel, our uniforms, giveaways, anything has to do with creative services, I also do. And so we all do a lot, but it's a passion of love.
That's excellent. So the Sockers offer a variety of educational, healthy lifestyle and character development programming for K-12 students. How important is it for you and the team to partner with area schools?
This was one of my focuses when I started with the club 7 years ago. I came also from a nonprofit background, and seeing the kids and what they needed, I felt that this was something that was going to be vital in helping us be different than other teams. Everybody does it, but we try to be a little bit different. We have a reading program that we're pretty proud of. Kids can read with their parents, or classrooms can also do it, and they can earn prizes, swag, tickets to the games, and we honor them at a games. That's been one of our most successful programs. And we love doing clinics. We work with the San Diego Police Department. And so we go out and we train with the kids. Then we always give them a handout about being good citizens and what they can do to help improve their lives. And just being in the community and trying to make a difference in one kid's life is, you never know whose life you're going to change. And so we go out and we do that, and we hope that we can make a difference in these kids' lives.
The Sockers have also prioritized Latino outreach, building a fan base in Southern California as well as Baja California. For a franchise that once featured the legendary Hugo Sanchez and Leonardo Cuellar, how significant is the Latino community to the Sockers' present and future?
In the present, with our team being half Hispanic Latino, it's very important. We do a lot of outreach. We have our games broadcast in Tijuana and in Mexico, and then along with Canela Sports. So that's a target market for us. When we do our community outreach, we hit those areas very hard with our clinics and with our programs for kids and so forth. So we figure we can get the kids hooked in, and they see Cesar Cerda, and he's training with them, and all of a sudden it's like we get them to a game, and then that's their favorite player. And so it's one by one as we go along, and that's important to us because it's a big market, and you have to outreach for everybody. And then with us moving up to Oceanside next year, we want to have a following that follows us, and then we'll do more of that in the North County area, where it would be a great population to do so and bring them out to games.
As you know well, the 1980s were a magic era for the San Diego Sockers. What was it like to be a fan of those legendary squads?
I was blessed. I moved in San Diego in '79, and my first experience with the Sockers was outdoors at Jack Murphy Stadium, sitting in the bleachers for $5, watching just the great soccer teams, and then the Cosmos and everybody. So that was where I was hooked. And then when they went indoor, it was just even a better game. And then with all the success they had, it was just magical, sellout crowds, and just being there. It was the best of the best at the time, and things are different now. But back then, they were the best players in the world. They were playing indoors, and you got to see them, just legendary people and just legendary games and legendary rivalries. And it's something that you really have to be there to feel the passion that took over the city. They were the number one team, and the personalities, and it was just incredible. And I'm blessed that I was able to be a fan then, and now continue on 40 years later being with the organization.
So transitioning to my favorite topic, you were a Sockers reserve goalkeeper in the mid-'80s. What was that experience like for you?
Once again, very blessed. It was to be to be thought of, it to be in that unit was amazing. And probably my favorite moment would be a practice at the old skate palace where we'd have to roll out the carpet because it was a roller skating rink before practice. And so we'd roll out the carpet and have practice. And during warm-ups, I'm in goal, and there's Julie V, Kaz Dana, and Gene Wilrich, and they're just having me flop around and around and around for probably 2 minutes and just having a laugh at it. And then Kazzy just lofts it over me. And at that moment, it didn't matter because I just looked up. I'm like, I'm playing with Kaz Dana and Julie V and Gene Wilrich, and I'm just a young kid, and it's like, this was amazing. They were my idols, and Bogmar Gross was my idol, and then you had Jim Gorsuch, and just a line of goalkeepers from Zoltan Toth, Victor Nogueira to today, Boris Pardo. So being a part, not being a legendary soccer goalkeeper, but just being in that air and working with that team and being a goalkeeper, it was amazing. And just the talent. I mean, just it goes on forever, and just being there. And you had to earn it. And for a while there on the reserve team, I didn't lose a game for probably a year and a half because they were just that good. And so it was special times. And I was so glad and fortunate to be able to be there and to participate in that.
In addition to goalkeeping, you were also a longtime team statistician. What was that experience like?
Back in the dark ages when it was triplicate forms and pencils and you call it out. And today, when I first started this again, I was like, oh, things have changed. It's all computerized. You don't have to have 5 people doing it and so forth. But it was just another way for me to be involved. I was on the reserve team at the time. I worked at a soccer store. So soccer was my life 24 hours a day, basically, but I loved what I was doing. And back then it was, I got to meet all the players and Dale Mitchell would come in from Vancouver and just all the other players and interact with them and then meet with them after the game. But doing the stats, I did it for almost 20 years, and I did stats for almost all the minor league teams in San Diego at one point. So I was Mr. Stats as well. And it's just interesting to see the stats and just how now we still go back to those stats, MASL, MISL, and ASL. So stats are important. And so I felt that we were doing a good job in keeping the history for, down the line for 30, 40 years later, we're still referring back to them. Craig Childs is going for 700 career points, and I'm a stats guy, so I like numbers. So it was just perfect. So once again, blessed to have a different look at that. And that helped me with my media career, working with the media as well.
As the Sockers prepare to say farewell to the grand old arena, do you have a favorite Pechanga memory or two to share?
The first memory would be when we beat the Baltimore Blast in the first MISL championship. Just being there for that game and being a fan, and that was the year before I was on the reserve team. That was special. And probably the most special moment for me is when we won the MASL championship at home over Florida, and just being a part of that and being on the field and the confetti raining down. And then afterwards in the locker room and doing the champagne slide with the players, and you just felt a part of it. And you see it on TV and you're like, oh, I wish I could do that someday. And then when you're actually doing it, you try to soak it in, and you almost can't because there's just so much going on. And you just want to just feel it all, So I did a confetti angel on the floor and so forth. And it's just you've accomplished something that, few people get to accomplish. And it's a memory I'll always cherish.
So my final question is sort of a pivot from the past to the future. What can fans expect from the Soccer's new Front Wave Arena opening in Oceanside next season?
This is going to be the crown jewel of the sport, and also for entertainment in San Diego. It's going to be 5,500 seats for sports, for soccer, for a different variety of sports, 7,000 seats for concerts. You're going to be on top of the action. We were just there, took a tour, and the second level is you look straight down. You're on top of the action, so there's not going to be a bad seat in the house. A lot of suites, a lot of open areas, a plaza, just everything to do with having a fan experience at the ultimate. And this is going to provide that, and it's going to provide us with a home field advantage that we just don't have now, trying to fill a 12,000 seat arena. And so when we get our crowds at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 seat stadium, it's going to be really cool. And then for our players, having the best of the best, training facilities right there, locker rooms, and we're not a tenant, we're an owner. So it's going to be ours. And I think that'll just be the next step and help us with free agents, getting even better players who want to come to San Diego, because this will be the place to play. On top of being on a tremendous team and tremendous organization, now you're going to have a top flight facility that's just going to be amazing.
Well, thank you for your time, John. And thanks to each of you for joining us. We will be back soon with another 10 for 10 interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.